case for reparations. Top 10 reasons why it matters. Yo, what's up, everybody? We're diving deep into a topic that's long overdue for a real conversation. Reparations for Black Americans. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Isn't that old news? Slavery ended ages ago. But hold up, because this isn't just about the past. It's about how the legacy of slavery and systemic racism still affects Black communities today. We're talking about a debt that's been accumulating for centuries. A debt that needs to be acknowledged and addressed. Over the next few minutes, we're going to break down the top 10 reasons why reparations are not just a good idea, but a moral imperative. We're going to talk about the historical injustices, the economic disparities, the social divisions, and the very real human cost of inaction. It's time to get real, to get uncomfortable, and to get this right. This isn't about guilt or blame. It's about understanding the truth of our shared history and working towards a future where everyone has a fair shot at success. So buckle up, because we're about to drop some knowledge. Addressing historical injustices. Let's be clear, slavery wasn't just a bad time in American history. It was a meticulously designed system of oppression that enriched some while brutalizing millions. We're talking about the theft of labor, the denial of basic human rights, and the systematic dehumanization of an entire race of people. And here's the kicker. The effects of that system didn't just magically disappear when slavery ended in 1865. Think about it. Generations of Black families were denied the opportunity to build wealth, own land, or access quality education, all while facing discriminatory laws and practices designed to keep them down. It's like running a race with a 100-yard head start, except the other runners get to trip you, change the finish line, and then act like you're just not trying hard enough. Reparations are about acknowledging this historical debt and taking concrete steps to address the ongoing harm caused by centuries of injustice. It's about saying, hey, we see you, we hear you, and we're committed to making things right. It's about time we stop pretending like the past doesn't matter, because the truth is, it's very much present. Economic equity, leveling the playing field. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the racial wealth gap. The median wealth of white families in the United States is about 10 times that of Black families. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't a coincidence. It's the direct result of centuries of discriminatory policies and practices that have systematically disadvantaged Black Americans. We're talking about redlining, discriminatory lending practices, and the legacy of being shut out of opportunities for home ownership, business ownership, and generational wealth accumulation. It's like trying to climb a ladder where someone keeps moving the rungs just as you're about to reach them. Reparations can help bridge this gap by providing Black families with the resources and opportunities they need to build wealth and achieve economic security. We're talking about investments in Black-owned businesses, affordable housing initiatives, and educational programs that can empower Black communities to thrive. This isn't about handouts, it's about creating a level playing field where everyone has a fair shot at success, regardless of the color of their skin. Social justice, building a more equitable society. Reparations aren't just about money. They're about justice. They're about acknowledging the systemic racism that continues to permeate every aspect of American society and taking concrete steps to dismantle it. We're talking about addressing the racial disparities in education, healthcare, criminal justice, and beyond. Think about it. Black Americans are disproportionately incarcerated, more likely to live in poverty, and have shorter life expectancies than their white counterparts. These disparities are not due to some inherent flaw in black people. They're the result of systemic barriers and discriminatory policies that have been in place for far too long. Reparations are about investing in communities that have been historically marginalized and creating a more just and equitable society for all. It's about recognizing that Black lives matter and that we have a collective responsibility to create a world where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. It's time to stop treating racial inequality as an unfortunate reality and start addressing it as the moral crisis that it is. Look, we can't just wish away the hurt and trauma of the past. Centuries of slavery, segregation, and discrimination have left deep wounds on Black communities and on the soul of America. Sweeping these issues under the rug won't make them disappear. It'll only fester and continue to divide us. Reparations offer a path towards healing and reconciliation by acknowledging the harm that has been done and demonstrating a commitment to righting past wrongs. It's about creating a space for dialogue, understanding, and ultimately forgiveness. Imagine a future where Black and white Americans can come together, not as victims and perpetrators, but as equals, ready to build a better future together. That's the kind of future reparations can help us create. It won't be easy and it won't happen overnight, but it's a journey we need to take together if we ever want to truly move forward as a nation. Let's be real. American history, as is taught in many schools, is often sanitized and incomplete. It glosses over the horrors of slavery and downplays the systemic racism that continues to this day. This lack of awareness perpetuates harmful stereotypes and prevents us from having honest conversations about race and inequality. Reparations can help fund educational programs that tell the full and unvarnished truth about American history. We're talking about investing in curriculum development, teacher training, and community-based initiatives that promote understanding and empathy. By educating ourselves and future generations about the legacy of slavery and its ongoing impact, we can begin to dismantle the systems of oppression that still hold us back. Knowledge is power, and the truth has the power to set us free. It's time to stop shying away from our past and start using it as a tool to build a more just and equitable future. Here's a radical idea. What if we addressed the root causes of crime and poverty instead of just treating the symptoms? Black communities are disproportionately affected by these issues, not because of some inherent flaw, but because of systemic barriers and a lack of opportunities. Think about it. When people have access to quality education, affordable housing, and economic opportunities, they're less likely to turn to crime or remain trapped in poverty. Reparations can provide the resources needed to invest in these communities and break the cycle of poverty and incarceration that has plagued Black Americans for generations. We're talking about creating jobs, supporting small businesses, and providing affordable housing options. We're talking about investing in early childhood education, job training programs, and mental health services. It's time to stop treating the symptoms and address the underlying disease. Investing in black communities isn't just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. Chapter 7, Health Disparities, a Matter of Life and Death. Let's talk about another uncomfortable truth. Black Americans have lower life expectancies and higher rates of chronic illnesses like heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. These health disparities aren't a coincidence. They're the result of systemic racism and unequal access to quality health care. Think about it. Black Americans are more likely to live in areas with environmental hazards, lack access to affordable health care, and face implicit bias from medical professionals. This toxic combination has devastating consequences for black communities. Reparations can help address these disparities by providing funding for healthcare access, community health centers, and research on racial disparities in healthcare. It's about ensuring that everyone, regardless of race, has the opportunity to live a long and healthy life. It's time to stop ignoring the health crisis facing black communities and start investing in solutions. Healthcare is a human right, not a privilege. Let's be real. We can't talk about reparations without talking about the systems that created the need for them in the first place. Systemic racism is baked into the very fabric of American society, from our criminal justice system to our education system to our housing market. Reparations can help fund legal and policy reforms that dismantle these systems of oppression and create a more just and equitable society. We're talking about criminal justice reform, including ending mass incarceration and police brutality. We're talking about education reform, including equitable funding for schools in black communities and access to quality early childhood education. We're talking about housing reform, including ending discriminatory lending practices and promoting affordable housing options. It's about creating a system where everyone has a fair shot, regardless of their race. It's time to stop tinkering around the edges and start dismantling the systems that perpetuate inequality. Justice delayed is justice denied. America loves to call itself the land of the free and the home of the brave. But how can we truly claim that mantle when so many of our citizens are still denied basic rights and opportunities based solely on the color of their skin? The truth is, systemic racism weakens our democracy and undermines our values. Reparations are about more than just righting past wrongs. They're about strengthening our democracy by ensuring that all citizens have an equal stake in its success. When black communities are empowered, our entire nation benefits. We're talking about increased economic activity, reduced crime rates, and a more just and equitable society for all. It's about time we lived up to the ideals upon which this nation was founded. Justice and equality are not just words on a page, they're principles we must actively fight for every single day. Investing in reparations is an investment in the future of our democracy. It's time to build a nation where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Look, this isn't about guilt or blame. It's about acknowledging the truth of our shared history and taking responsibility for the legacy of injustice that continues to this day. America has a moral obligation to address the harms caused by slavery and systemic racism. It's about time we faced this uncomfortable truth and did what's right. This isn't just about Black Americans. It's about who we are as a nation. Do we want to be a country that perpetuates injustice, or do we want to be a country that stands for equality and opportunity for all? The choice is ours. Reparations are not a handout. They're a down payment on the promise of America. It's about time we paid our debts and created a future where everyone has the opportunity to achieve their full potential. The time for talk is over. The time for action is now. Let's get to work. So, there you have it. The top 10 reasons why reparations for Black Americans are not just a good idea, but a moral imperative. We've covered a lot of ground, but one thing is clear. The legacy of slavery and systemic racism continues to cast a long shadow over this nation. Ignoring the issue won't make it go away. It's time for America to have an honest conversation about race, inequality, and the true meaning of justice. It's time to acknowledge the harm that has been done and take concrete steps to repair the damage. The fight for reparations is a fight for the soul of America. It's a fight for a future where all citizens are treated with dignity, respect, and equality. It's a fight we can't afford to lose.